Hello! The purpose of this short video is to help you learn how to control where your servo is by using a potentiometer. So to do this, get into TinkerCAD, go to Circuits, and create a new circuit. I've got a blank one here that's going to load up, and many of you have done this quite a few times, but if you haven't, you can go over here to Arduino, and we want to steal one with a servo motor. So I'm going to drag the one with the servo out. You can see they hooked the servo up to pin 9. You can move things wherever you want to, and that's going to be pretty handy. The other thing you need is a potentiometer. To find that, you can go down here into the basic. Maybe you should go up to components to all. You can find a potentiometer. Now, one thing I did was, I don't like how the pins are on the bottom, so I use this tool up in the top corner to flip my potentiometer around. You can see the picture that I have on our module that shows you how I hooked things up. I also worked on changing wire colors to make everything kind of work out better. So my one that goes to 5 volts is going to be red to show positive. And you can clean all that up. Take some time to either pause this video and make this circuit, or if you want to, just take a check at the picture that I put on our Canvas page and build this circuit just to make sure it's all hooked up like this. Once you have that done, we're ready to start coding it, and I have one done over here in this tab. So here's my circuit. I'm going to start the simulation, and when you're done with this circuit, what I want you to be able to do is control where the servo is by wherever this knob on the potentiometer is. So this would be finished. You're controlling the motor with this knob. Now, to do this, we have to read where this knob is, and then we have to tell the servo to go to that position. But the main problem is this knob spits out values between 0 right here and 1023 over here. But this servo only can read values between 0 and 180. So we have to change the values. 0 on the potentiometer can mean 0 here. But 123 on the potentiometer can only mean 180 over here. So we're going to use that map function that we talked about. I'm going to open up this code, and I already have mine done. I want to explain each part to you, and that's really the whole purpose of this video. So you might need to pause this and type things in, but I've got it explained on here. And as I explain it, I also have this link on our Canvas page so you can look at this actual file if you would like to. I'm going to open up the code, and I'm going to try to zoom in just a little bit on it. I hope maybe that this is something you can read, and I put a comment up here. We're trying to run the servo off a potentiometer. Once again, I'm going to go pretty fast. Just pause this whenever you need to. This first thing is including something called the servo library. If we include the servo library, it makes it much easier for us to speak to this servo. And we have one servo, so the command is called servo with a capital S space, and I'm calling it my servo. M-Y, capital S-E-R-V-O. You can call your servo Frank if you would like, but you have to give it a name. Now we're reading data here and we're writing data here, so I've got two variables that I want to define before we even go to setup. One variable, integer, I'm going to call it sensor value. This is going to be whatever the potentiometer is reading. I'm going to set it equal to 0. And then I need to write a variable to the servo, so I'm calling it servo angle. It is another integer. Servo angle equals 0. Now I go into my setup, and I need to tell it that the servo that I called my servo is attached on pin 9. And I also want to tell it that I'm reading values from the analog pin 0, and that's an input. Finally, I think this might be unnecessary, but just in case I'm starting somewhere weird, I want to move my servo to position 0 to start. It just means whatever, right when I plug it in, it's going to go to position 0 no matter where it is. Perfect. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to first read from the potentiometer. This command you've written down multiple times. Whatever the potentiometer is saying, I'm going to call that sensor value. And to get that value, I have to do an analog read on pin A0. But then I need to tell servo angle where to go. And I can't just put go to sensor value, because sensor value reads all the way up to 1023, and I don't want that. The biggest servo number I want is 180, so I'm going to use something called a map function. To do that, I'm going to say servo angle, this is a variable, is equal to map sensor value. Now the sensor value, the potentiometer, has a low of 0 and a high of 1023. But I want to map that to a low of 0 and a high of 180. So now I'm going to have a servo angle variable that's going to be between 0 and 180. Then the rest of this is pretty simple. Once again, my servo's name is myServo. I'm going to write to servo angle. That's going to make it go to whatever angle I'm telling it to go to in this map function. I'm just going to wait 10 seconds for it to get there. Then I'm going to do this whole loop again. So then it reads where the potentiometer is. It writes that to a servo angle, and then it waits, I think I said 10 seconds, but 10 milliseconds before it gets there again. I should be able to run this. My servo is all the way up here, so it started there. And there you go. That's how this one's going to work. So get this one working. This is our practice. Go to the next page in the module, and that's going to give you something to try on your own. Good luck. I hope all is well. Please write me if you have any questions.